All right, what's up guys? Welcome back. This is Dan, the bodybuilder from Thailand. I'm here to tell you the shocking truth about human growth hormone. So I've used this stuff. I've used both generic and I've used farm grade, okay? And during the video, I'm gonna be showing you some before and after pictures of like, here's just with steroids and here's with steroids and growth hormone. And what I'm going to be sharing with you guys today is a section from my 109-page ebook, Ultimate Guide to Roids, by Dan the Bodybuilder from Thailand. That would be me. And basically what this book goes over is exactly how to get the body that you see on Instagram, on YouTube, on pro bodybuilding stages, right? I go over the dosages and all the drugs and everything that you need to make that happen, okay? And there's no like corporate interest involved. It's just talking about, you know, what you need to do, okay? I've been there, done that, and now I'm sharing this information, and it's about fucking time that it has been shared, because you know what? Why keep the good information from everybody? That's fucking stupid. That's fucking stupid. That's what the internet is all about, you know? Exposing like all like the like fraud and like all the kind of like shit that has gone on for all this time, like keeping the public and fucking blinded in the dark. So that's what this book is. Ultimate Guide to Roids. It's about fucking time. All right? Without further ado, let's read this. All right. Human growth hormone. Human growth hormone has more mystery behind it than any other performance enhancing drug. After reading this section, there will be no more mystery. The first thing you have to understand is that human growth hormone will not help you build muscle unless you use steroids alongside it at the same time. All of the scientific studies that have come out saying that human growth hormone does not grow muscle studied it in subjects who were naturals. They were put on solo human growth hormone therapy and studied. This approach will help with some fat loss, connective tissue strengthening, and rejuvenation, but it will not build muscle. In order for HGH to build muscle, it must be combined with anabolic steroids. Human growth hormone has anabolic effects on ligaments. Anabolic means tissue growing, tendons, and cartilage, and helps athletes prevent and recover quickly from injuries. All the miracle pro athlete recoveries from career-threatening injuries are the result of growth hormone injections. As a testament to the healing abilities of HGH, I took growth hormone to recover from umbilical hernia surgery and looked close to my best ever 45 days after the surgery. There's a section in the book that goes over performance-enhancing drug protocols that the pro athletes use in order to recover from their injuries and be back from like career-ending injuries in like 6, 8, 12 weeks or whatever. And you know, what kind of drugs they're using and the dosages that they're using in order to make that happen. Because I've done it with myself with recovering from my leg injury where I had the leg infection, and also recovering from the umbilical hernia. I've done very unbelievable comebacks and transformations following those surgeries in short periods of time, utilizing performance enhancing drugs, especially human growth hormone, testosterone, anadrol, and metformin. Those were very critical to those fast recoveries. Okay, the next thing you have to know about HGH, back to Ultimate Guide to Roids, is that if you are not using pharmaceutical grade growth hormones such as genotropin, norditropin, Sizin, Serostim, etc., then you are wasting your money. The only effective growth hormone, the only true growth hormone, is pharmaceutical grade growth hormone, meant to be sold in an FDA approved pharmacy. Everything else is bullshit. The reason generic HGH cannot compare to pharmaceutical grade is that growth hormone is made through recombinant DNA technology, where special E. coli bacteria is genetically engineered and given strands of modified virus-derived DNA to produce human growth hormone. This process cannot be replicated by laymen. There are only a few facilities in the world capable of producing high quality, 100% legitimate human growth hormone, and these facilities are used exclusively for the production of human pharmaceutical grade growth hormone. Many people talk about generic growth hormone and talk about blue tops, gray tops, black tops, etc. All that stuff is garbage and a far cry from the real thing. Now, you may have used some generic growth hormone, or you may have watched friends use generic growth hormone, and they got pretty good results. That's not impossible. I've experimented with generic HGH too. So what is in those generic HGH bottles that gives some physique improving benefits? The answer is no one knows. It may be peptides. It may be a host of other things. Generic human growth hormone is produced unregulated in China. You don't only need access to the facilities to produce growth hormone properly, you also need access to highly specialized professional chemists to produce it. There are only a handful of facilities with the necessary recombinant DNA technology, equipment, and the specialized, highly trained chemists to produce true human growth hormone. These facilities are being used and staffed by big pharmaceutical companies that are selling their products for billions of dollars on the world stage, not by some rat prick drug dealer in India or China who produces steroids in his basement, or even at a professional underground production facility. The best way to describe the difference between using pharmaceutical grade growth hormone versus using generics is to compare having sex with a hot ass woman with and without a condom. If you have sex with the condom on, you just won't be having the same experience as the guy who got laid with her without the condom. I'm telling you all this stuff and giving you all these examples because I'm really trying to help you here. If you use generics, you are playing the drug dealer's game. They will always jump on people like me who tell you the truth. They do this to protect their market and financial interests in selling you cheap trash. They will say that I'm a liar, don't know what I'm talking about, etc. But the fact of the matter is that I have no incentive but to tell you the truth. I'm not biased, and I'm telling you the exact same thing that a guru who coaches top bodybuilders on the Olympia stage would tell his athletes. It's really unfortunate and shameful that the bodybuilding and fitness industry in pro sports is run on lies and deception. Through writing this stuff, my hope is to sacrifice myself as someone who will show their face and identity and finally be someone who releases the truth of exactly what is happening with performance-enhancing drugs to the general public. Do with it what you will. If you want to be a generic growth hormone user, just know that you are doing the same thing as choosing to consistently have sex with your girlfriend with a condom on. Might be fun a couple times, but will you ever be completely satisfied? No, absolutely not. If you were going to mess around with generics and counterfeits, I suggest doing it with something other than HGH. Beginning in 1963, doctors started treating patients with cadaver, dead person derived growth hormone. The growth hormone was extracted by grinding up the pituitary glands of dead people and then extracting the human growth hormone that had been present in the organ. This was then purified and injected mostly into children who had stunted growth. Some was also obtained by athletes and used as a performance-enhancing drug. This form of cadaver growth hormone was sold under the brand name Crescormon. Unfortunately, cadaver-derived HGH was sometimes contaminated with misfolded proteins called prions. When prions are introduced into the body, they make their way to the central nervous system and brain, where they become contagious to other proteins in the area. The bad prions or misfolded proteins are contagious to nearby cells and proteins once introduced into a human. The prions then increase in number exponentially. This results in a disease of brain deterioration called Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. Within 1 year, 70% of people diagnosed with Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease die. This is what happened to the former NFL player Lyle Alzado, who was using Crexcormin, cadaver-derived human growth hormone, as a performance-enhancing drug. He contracted Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease from growth hormone. The prions in the bad growth hormone invaded his nervous system and killed him shortly after. In 1981, a company called Genentech developed a process to produce growth hormone via recombinant DNA technology, where E. coli bacteria with modified DNA produce human growth hormone, thereby ending the need for cadaver-derived growth hormone. This first version of recombinant DNA human growth hormone was marketed under the brand name Protropin. Shortly after the introduction of Protropin, Eli Lilly introduced their version of recombinant DNA human growth hormone called Humatrope. After the introduction of Protropin and Humatrope, the recombinant DNA growth hormone market flourished as a result of competition, facilitating the introduction of current popular HGH brand names. Growth hormone has a really interesting effect on the shape and appearance of a user's muscles. It causes them to become squarer shaped and box shaped. It increases the 3D appearance of a user's muscle to a considerable degree. Growth hormone is very potent at creating a more 3D look in a bodybuilder. Very potent. This is evident in professional athletes and especially NBA basketball players. Have you seen how some of the more muscular NBA stars like LeBron James, Dwight Howard, or David Robinson have these shoulders and clavicle areas that are so wide and full and separated that it almost looks alien, or as if they are a 747 airliner about to take off and fly? This is what pharmaceutical grade growth hormone does to a physique when combined with anabolic steroids. Growth hormone is freaky. Growth hormone use promotes a freaky looking body. It promotes freak factor. It causes mutation in the body. Muscle cells increase in number under the influence of growth hormone. Normally, when muscle becomes bigger, it is because of the existing muscle cells becoming larger and gaining more nuclei. When growth hormone is combined with steroids, muscle cells actually undergo mitosis, which is the splitting of cells to form new cells. This gives someone the opportunity to change their genetics and gain more muscle cells than they were born with. This is responsible for the effect of big bodybuilders who have run growth hormone for long periods of time being bigger, not having to run a lot of drugs, and being able to just stay big. When growth hormone is injected, some of the effects like fat loss are caused by the actual growth hormone molecule, but other effects like the increase in the number of muscle cells is caused by growth hormone traveling to the liver and being converted into IGF-1 or insulin-like growth factor 1. IGF-1 travels through the bloodstream looking for damaged tissues. When damaged tissue is identified, IGF-1 binds to receptors there and causes stem cells nearby to become whatever the damaged cell type was. In muscle tissue, after heavy weight training, IGF-1 produced from growth hormone injections identifies the damaged muscle tissue, binds to its receptors there, and causes nearby stem cells to become muscle cells. Steroids alone build up the size of existing muscle cells. It is only through the combination of growth hormone with anabolic steroids at the same time that a person can begin to change their genetics and develop new muscle cells. Anecdotally, after taking Novo Nordisk Norditropin for 1 year straight at 4 IU per day, my body has never looked the same. It caused permanent changes to the polish, quality, shape, and separation to my muscles. After my 1 year run with pharmaceutical grade growth hormone, along with some experimentation with generic growth hormone, I have ceased using growth hormone because I don't believe it is necessary for my goals. And it is an incredibly expensive luxury. However, I am glad that I took growth hormone with my steroids for a year, and now I'm able to reap the benefits of having built some new muscle cells and changed the separation and shape of my muscles. Growth hormone has some side effects. First, growth hormone is very similar in chemical structure to the hormone prolactin. Prolactin levels surge after orgasm and is what makes you feel disinterested in sex and your erection to go down after you finish. Growth hormone is slightly different in chemical structure to prolactin. Generic growth hormone is notorious for causing sex drive, erection, and even climax issues in some men. This is because generic growth hormone is garbage. And if you experience this effect, it is either because the growth hormone is tainted with prolactin from impure manufacturing processes, or because your growth hormone decomposed into prolactin-like molecules that can fit into and activate prolactin receptors. Just another one of the millions of reasons not to use generic growth hormone, no matter how bad underground labs want to sell it to you. The reason I keep bringing up this issue is because I know people are going to look at the cheaper price of generics and foolishly ignore this advice and make justifications for buying generic. You want to believe the generics will give you the effects that pharmaceutical grade does. You want to believe, but it doesn't matter how much you want to believe. It's always going to be a fantasy. We already talked about increased water retention with growth hormone. This commonly affects the face and is the reason why many pro-competitive bodybuilders these days have ripped bodies but pudgy, round-looking faces. These guys think they look better when they have growth hormone in their system the day of the competition. It makes them bigger. Growth hormone causes insulin resistance. This isn't too severe and can actually help you lose weight if you're only using a dosage of up to 5 IU, about 5 IU per day or less. When you start pushing the dosage up over 5 IU Hgh per day, that is when insulin resistance and acquiring type 2 diabetes becomes a concern. The mechanism behind growth hormone-induced insulin resistance is unknown to scientists, but it is easy to see by taking blood glucose readings of long-term or high-dosage growth hormone users that the effect is very prominent and very real. This is why if you are going to be planning to use growth hormone for an extended period of time, it is good to include metformin or at the very least berberine, a natural and potent insulin sensitizer. The metformin will restore insulin sensitivity in the presence of growth hormone. We need to discuss the possible side effects of having growth hormone-induced highly elevated levels of IGF-1. IGF-1 is meant for the repair of tissue, but if there is an overabundance of IGF-1 present inside the body and not enough tissue needing repair, then the IGF-1 will find other non-damaged tissue to bind to and create more cells. This effect is severely exacerbated by the simultaneous use of injectable insulin, which more or less triples the IGF-1 levels that growth hormone alone could produce. When someone has chronically elevated supraphysiological levels of IGF-1, they are risking the enlargement of body parts and organs. People using growth hormone without insulin usually don't have issues with this unless they are highly genetically predisposed to be sensitive to the effects of IGF-1. But it is still possible to have heart enlargement, hand and foot enlargement, brow and forehead enlargement, intestinal enlargement, and slight penis enlargement, honestly. I'm not joking. It grows everything, okay? It grows everything. Your organs, anything. But especially like limbs. This can cause tingling in your fingers and hands. It's not uncommon for people to develop thickening of nerves and tendons while using growth hormone. Hands and fingers fall asleep and start tingling a lot while using growth hormone. And when I say penis enlargement, I'm talking like maybe a 1/4 inch, okay? Very minimal. Many people, myself included, experience carpal tunnel symptoms from using growth hormone. Most of that goes away after stopping growth hormone, but some of it usually stays permanently. Pharmaceutical grade growth hormone is highly effective in helping your bodybuilding goals, starting from a dosage of only 2 IUs per day. At this low dosage, risk of side effects is extremely low, and you will still have major benefits while also being able to keep the cost down. I don't like intramuscular growth hormone injections. Intramuscular gives me way more water retention and is in and out of my system way too fast. Judging by the mirror, I look way better using growth hormone as subcutaneous injections into my body fat. This has the added effect of increased fat loss since blood sugar and insulin levels are low in the morning before eating. Okay, so I always preferred to inject my growth hormone in 2 IU increments. I would take 2 IU into my stomach fat first thing upon waking up each morning, injecting the growth hormone at this time into my body fat in my stomach and doing a little cardio, walking or waiting about 45 minutes to an hour before eating, guarantees growth hormone has time to attack the fat cells, causing them to not only release stored energy into the bloodstream, but to then actually need to burn the energy up. Since I usually took 4 IU human growth hormone per day, I would do that morning injection when I first woke up on an empty stomach, then do the cardio, which would burn the fat, and then I would do a second 2 IU injection into my stomach fat at lunchtime or sometimes before bed, depending on my preference and ease of performing the injection. An interesting thing about injecting growth hormone is that it has a localized fat burning effect where you inject it. This is in addition to its systemic fat burning effects throughout your whole body. If you do all your growth hormone injections on the left side of your belly button for 3 weeks and no injections on the right side of your belly button, at the end of about 3 weeks, you will notice that your skin on the left side of the belly button has significantly less fat than the skin on the right side. Some might get ambitious on noticing this and decide that if growth hormone can produce localized fat burning, then maybe it can produce localized muscle growth too. They will then start doing all their growth hormone shots into their undeveloped muscle groups or weak points in their physique. Unfortunately, these guys will be disappointed with the results of their experiment. Growth hormone injections can cause localized fat loss because it is the actual growth hormone molecule that burns fat. However, the growth hormone molecule itself does nothing to build muscle, remember? It is the IGF-1 produced by the liver from growth hormone that then circulates through the body and has the ability to help with the muscle building and repair process, as well as create additional new muscle cells. Growth hormone has got to reach the liver first before it can aid the muscle building process. Localized growth hormone injections for muscle size don't work. All right, guys, so that was an excerpt from the human growth hormone section here of Ultimate Guide to Roids. Those are some pictures of me like on steroids, and then like on steroids plus human growth hormone, and then like just steroids again, and then steroids plus human growth hormone. There's more of them showing the difference between, you know, exactly what human growth hormone does, exactly what pharmaceutical grade human growth hormone does. And yeah, the book, I put my heart and soul into this book, so it's really like, it's really the end all be all. It's the only book you're gonna ever need to read, and it's gonna be more valuable to you taking time to read that book than it is gonna be, you know, to read forums for 10 years or whatever, you know, like, and this is actually, it's not like an anonymous avatar on the internet where you don't know who's speaking to you. You know, has this guy even ever used it? You never know. Like, when you've been on the forums for a long time, you find out that it's like such a scam, man, such a scam. So there's my face, you know, I wrote this book, and, you know, I'm telling it like it fucking is. I'm telling it like it is. I am, baby. I am. It's about time. It's about time. So there's a link to where you can download the book in the description of this video and in the comments section. Immediate download for Ultimate Guide to Roids, 109-page ebook by Dan the Bodybuilder from Thailand.